I don't care who you think you are, you do not have the authority to bypass the homeowners association. This is an outrage.
Cold air bit my cheeks as I stepped outside. The sidewalk under the street lamp glowed with wet chalk and a cheap paint smell. My address was sprayed across the concrete from my porch to the mailbox, giant letters with arrows. A drone buzzed overhead. A car idled with hazards blinking. At 5:12 a.m. on May 3, 2024, my quiet street looked like a crime scene without the tape. The flyers taped to my fence said things like yard menace and rule breaker and listed my full name. The paint bled into the cracks, like it wanted to live there forever. I could taste asphalt dust. I heard a laugh from the cul-de-sac and a voice say she'll learn. I knew the voice. It was Karen from the HOA board. Karen doxed my address on the sidewalk in 63 pages, had no idea I am their inspector general. That's the fight, right there. The chalk arrows pointed to my ring cam like I was a zoo exhibit. The flyers had a QR code to what looked like a blog about me. One post called my porch light illegal. Another said my dog was a dangerous breed. The truth, my porch bulb is the standard warm LED the HOA recommends, and my dog is a sleepy mutt that fears the vacuum. I called the number listed on the flyer. It went to the HOA voicemail. I left one calm message. Hi, this is me. This isn't okay. Please call back. No one called. At 9:00 p.m., I went to the board office during open hours. The door was locked. Inside, I saw Karen scrolling her phone. She waved a hand like go away. Two neighbors I used to chat with crossed the street to avoid me. Eyes down. One mouthed sorry without sound. The next morning, a notice showed up on my door: non-compliant fence stain, non-compliant welcome mat, non-compliant mailbox flag. 3 fines, $200 each. I tried again. Hey, Karen, can we talk? She stared at my shoes and said file a complaint. Then she smiled at my camera and turned her head so the earring flashed. That was the first time my hands shook. I made a promise to myself: proper channels only. No shouting, no late night pettiness. I started with a timeline because chaos loves paper. Timeline item 1, April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. A week later, another one at 2:11 a.m., then again on April 28 at 6:03 a.m. 11 calls total, all unfounded. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I requested the HOA's enforcement logs. Public records exist for our HOA because we're under a special municipal district. When the clerk emailed me, the file landed with 63 pages. It read like a diary of obsession: 21 complaints about my lawn height measured in millimeters, 5 about a wreath that didn't exist, and a draft blog post titled Operation Sidewalk Soap. I highlighted quietly and kept breathing. Here's the part Karen didn't know: my day job. I'm the Inspector General assigned to oversight of common interest communities for our county. I audit vendor contracts and enforcement patterns. Conflict? I don't touch my own community's cases. But I know the process, and I know who to call. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. Misuse of HOA funds can be audited. Retaliation against a resident is a big red line. So I did it by the book. I filed 3 separate things. First, a police report about the doxing on May 3, with video of Karen carrying a box of chalk and flyers. Second, a complaint to the municipal board about selective enforcement and unapproved fines. Third, a request for a special meeting per our bylaws, signed by 30 neighbors who had quietly messaged me were scared of her too. The meeting was in the clubhouse on May 18 at 7:00 p.m. It smelled like coffee and carpet cleaner. The folding chairs squeaked. Neighbors packed the room, phones out. Karen opened with a speech about community image and problem residents. I waded through it. When she held up a stack of papers to prove her case, I saw the corner watermark from the district clerk. She had printed my own records request and thought I had no idea what was inside. My turn. I walked up, set my binder down, and projected the timeline. Calm voice. Here's what happened. 11 false calls. 3 fines issued outside policy. Funds spent on flyers from the common account, $148.79. Then I read a simple line from the law about retaliation and selective enforcement. I said this clearly and without flair: patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. I paused. Then the twist: I introduced myself with my title. Karen blinked like someone had pulled the plug on the room. Phones clicked. Someone whispered, "Wait, what?" A neighbor leaned over to the aisle and said, "That explains the binder." Karen tried to talk over me. She said I was abusing power. I said I have recused myself from any investigation and already referred the matter to an outside office. More clicking. Laughter rippled when I showed the receipts: the debit card charge for chalk and print services coded as community beautification, the email from Karen at 1:13 a.m. telling a junior board member to make it ugly. A dad in the back said, "This is wild." People started filming the screen. I pulled up the blog domain registration, paid with the HOA card. The secretary's face went gray. Karen said, "This meeting is over." It wasn't. By 8:15 p.m., the police officer who took my report walked in and asked a few quiet questions. At 8:27 p.m., the municipal liaison called in on speaker and said the board's authority is suspended pending review. The room gasped like a sitcom track. The vote to remove Karen as president was almost unanimous. One hand stayed down. It was hers. The next week, the county's outside office issued a notice: fines voided, reimbursements due within 10 days, temporary manager installed. Karen got a citation for vandalism and a court date in June. She was also banned from handling HOA funds. The blog disappeared overnight. Our sidewalk got power washed by the new contractor for free. The drone? Turned out to be her nephew's. He returned it to Best Buy with a sad face. Afterward, the street felt different. Kids chalked rainbows instead of arrows. My neighbor, the one who mouthed sorry, brought over banana bread and a real apology. We set up a community garden in the empty lot, $50 each, and picked our first tomatoes in July. At the next movie night, people laughed without looking over their shoulders. Karen now lives 3 streets over with curtains always closed. She must pay back $2,400 to the HOA reserve. The board learned a lesson I wish they'd learned sooner: power is not a toy, and paper trails are louder than gossip. I still do my job, and I still walk my sleepy mutt at 6:30 a.m., warm coffee in hand, no drone in the sky, no arrows on the ground, just neighbors waving like we finally remembered how. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.